Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego, and today we are going to continue to talk about one of the best chick flicks ever made. That's right, one of the best chick flicks ever made, Till There Was You from 1997. It was directed by I Don't Give a Fuck, and it stars Dylan McDermott. Yeah, we remember him, don't we? Remember him? He was in The Practice, that TV show, The Practice. Yeah, he was in that. And American Horror Story and a bunch of other shit. All right. I remember him from Hardware, that piece of shit movie from 1990. It was a Terminator ripoff movie, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But luckily, he redeemed himself by starring in this movie. All right, which I love. Okay, it also stars Jean Triplehorn. She's the female love interest. Okay, we remember her. She's been in a lot of stuff. She actually started off as Ben Stiller's girlfriend. Okay, and he put her in a bunch of episodes of his TV show, the Ben Stiller Show, back on Fox back in 1992 with Janine Garofalo, Andy Dick, yeah, I remember him, and Bob Odenkirk, yeah, he was on that show too. All right, she was not a main character on the show. She was not a cast member, but whenever they needed like a hot girl, he just put her in the episodes, you know, because they need a hot girl because he was fucking her. And of course, I do the same thing. All right, so she started off as a model, even though she went to Juilliard. Go figure. How does that fucking work? Anyway, but after that, she ended. Her first movie was Basic Instinct. Yeah, the one where Sharon Stone spread her legs, and that's the one that made her famous. Yeah, she ain't famous anymore. I wonder why. Well, I guess if that's all you got is spreading your legs in a movie, then you know that's gonna get old after a while, and she did after a while. Okay, so there's that, and then she was also in Waterworld. Okay, we remember that movie, don't we? with Kevin Costner and what's his name? Dennis Hopper, yeah, overacting Dennis Hopper, yeah. That piece of shit movie too. Okay, and then she was Mickey Blue. She did a lot of shit. She's been in a lot of shit, all right? Not so much anymore, and I guess she was on that show that everybody watched about the guy, Big Love, or the guy that was Bill Paxton, the late, great Bill Paxton, who passed away in 2018. Yeah, he played a guy who was married to 3 different women. Yeah, I remember, I guess she was one of the women on the show. And I don't follow that shit. Anyway, her career wasn't doing so well. You know, like I said, she started off with that sitcom, not as a main character, just as a side character, very few lines, you know. And then she went to fucking an erotic thriller, you know. And then she went to an action, a post-apocalyptic future dystopian, you know, action movie, which ruined everybody's careers that were attached to that movie. Waterworld is one of the biggest flops in Hollywood history. If you look at the top 10 biggest movie flops that lost money in the history of Hollywood, Waterworld is in the top 10. That's how bad it was, okay? And I actually went to go see that piece of shit. And then, of course, she was also in this. This was her movie after Waterworld. Yeah, she decided to do the rom-com thing for a change, just to spicing things up a bit, right? So they're basically Hollywood, her agent or whatever, was trying her out. Okay, well, that sitcom didn't work. Let's put her in action adventure. Okay, that didn't work. Let's put her in a rom-com. And if that didn't work, I guess the next thing they were going to give her was like a historical drama or some shit. Who fucking knows? Or maybe they just gave up on her after that, all right? Now, she's a beautiful woman. She is. Ginger, I mean, she's a little bit heavier in this movie than I've seen her before. She was not that heavy, this heavy, on Ben Stiller, because I remember how good looking she was in that. She's still pretty. She's still very attractive, but she has gained a few pounds. I don't know if she did that for her character, because her character is supposed to be some average fuddy-duddy girl who just can't find true love, who's very clumsy, always bumps into shit, you know, and is scared to fucking take credit for her own work, you know, that kind of thing, all right? So there's that, there's her. And then you got the side characters, you know, you've got, Sarah Jessica Parker, she plays Taffy. Well, actually, she plays Francesca Lanfield, a child actress who's on a sitcom that was basically a ripoff of the Brady Bunch / Partridge Family. Taffy, who grew up to be basically Lindsay Lohan or Anissa Jones. You know, she got into drugs when the show got canceled. She got into the drugs, into the boning, into the rehab, you know, several times, you know. So now she's an adult and she wants to write a book about her life, her autobiography, so which means that she has to hire somebody to fucking write it for her. And luckily, Gwen is an author. That's what she does. She doesn't take credit. She's a ghostwriter. She doesn't take credit for the shit that she writes. So she got hired to write Taffy or Francesca's autobiography. In between feeling sorry for herself for not being able to find the right guy. Okay, not being able to find true love. Okay, yeah, that's what she's crying about. Meanwhile, the male character in the show, Nick Dawkins, played by Dylan McDermott, okay, he grew up poor. His dad was a drunk, okay, whatever. He grows up resentful of his parents. He lies about his parents. He said his mom died. His dad died in a plane crash. His mom put him in prep school when he was a little boy, all sorts of bullshit, you know. He tells that to women so they don't ask too many questions about why he's basically a playa, okay? He loves women for sex, but he doesn't really get close to them emotionally. He has no desire to get emotional with any women. He just wants to use them for sex. And to me, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with that? I mean, come on, what the fuck? Hey, straight man's point of view, that's what I give you here. Straight man's point of view. So he's playing the field. What the fuck? He looks young. He looks like he's, what is it, 30s, early 30s? Okay, you don't have to settle down right now. You know, wait till he's like in his 40s, and then he'll get a young woman and get her pregnant. You know, marry her and raise a family with her. Okay, but no, this is a rom-com, so you got to play by Chick-Flick rules, and they don't like that kind of stuff. This guy's a successful, wealthy architect. Okay, you really think he's gonna settle for a fucking an average-looking woman his own age, who puts her career above anything else? Oh, get the fuck out of here! It ain't gonna happen. Okay, and for those of you that are mad at me for saying that, look around. Okay, don't pay attention to these fucking movies. Don't pay attention to the fucking talk shows or the TV shows. Look around. Go outside and look around. Okay, men that are like him, what kind of women are they with? Exactly. Okay, so don't yell at me. Okay, for telling you the truth. That's what I give you here. Big dose of truth, straight up, baby, with no lube. No lube. All right. So that's him. That's Nick. He likes to play the field. He lies to his girlfriends because he doesn't give a shit about them. Oh, well. Okay, but he always had a childhood crush for Taffy. Okay, he fell in love with that girl just like I fell in love with Eve Plum growing up watching the Brady Bunch episodes. She was Jan Brady. I grew up having a crush on her too. Well, so did he, and I'm pretty sure he jerked off to her when he hit puberty. Okay, but now here she is as an adult. Okay, in his architecture firm. Okay, so he starts flirting with her so they can get a business deal going. All right, and of course, you know, he seals the deal by pounding her out, despite the fact that he already has a British girlfriend. Okay, he lies to her. Hey, I can't make it. My dad died. My dad was in a plane crash, so that's why I can't meet you for dinner tonight. Don't call me. Bye. You know, basically. And then after he fucked Taffy, or sorry, I keep calling her Taffy. After he fucked Sarah Jessica Parker character Francesca, after he fucked her, then he broke up with his girlfriend. Which while she was driving, she was on her cell phone talking to him while she was driving. She almost ran into Gwen, who was also driving next to her in the lane, which caused Gwen to crash into a car. Not bad, just a fender bender, you know, into the car in front of her. Okay, which guess what? That car was owned by the gay guy that she went to grad school with in her poetry class. Apparently, both of them, the guy and her, were both fucking the professor Gregory, but she didn't know that he was also fucking Gregory. She thought she was the only one. So that's how they run into each other again. I'm guessing that he has a boyfriend that died of AIDS because he's clearing out. Oh shit, dude, you need to get yourself checked. He's clearing out the guy's apartment. Okay, it's in this nice eccentric apartment complex or condominium complex. Although condos didn't exist in 1928 when the building was built, but yeah, it's called La Fortuna. Now, in real life, this is a real apartment complex. It's a condominium complex in Hollywood. It still exists today. It's called El Cabrillo. I think that's what it's, yeah, El Cabrillo. That's what it's called. It was commissioned by Cecil B. DeMille. Okay, back in 1928 is when it was created. A few minor movie stars or minor film actors lived there, mostly during the silent. And I think Rudolph Valentino had a house right down the street. Okay, I think one of his movies was filmed there at El Cabrillo. What's his name? Charlie Chaplin had a house right down the street, and so did Douglas Fairbanks. Okay, they had houses right down the street from this apartment complex. Okay, La Fortuna is what it's called in the movie. In real life, it's called El Cabrillo. Okay, apparently there's a show called Chuck. I never watched it, but it's with Zachary Levi. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's the guy that's playing Shazam right now in the movies. He's got a new Shazam movie coming out, Fury of the Gods. Okay, well back then that superhero was called Captain Marvel. He wasn't called Shazam. That was just the word that he used to get his powers. But anyway, Zachary Levi, his TV show, he had a TV show called Chuck. I've never watched that show. Okay, but apparently his character lived in that apartment complex, okay, in that condominium complex, all right? So it's got some notoriety to it. Apparently Hollywood people love to film stuff there. TV shows are filmed there, all sorts of shit like that. Characters from TV shows live in that apartment complex, all right? In the movie, it's called La Fortuna. So she follows the gay guy, Kevin, in there to help him move. And while she walks in there, she looks at the residents, okay? And basically, it's Melrose Place. They're all hipsters. Now, this was in the late 90s. They weren't called hipsters back then, okay? But you know what I mean. mean? Okay, they were out there, young people, just starting off in life in their 20s. You got a girl that's a waitress at a diner. You got a guy who's a musician, which means that he has a fucking guitar that's surgically attached to his stomach at all fucking times. He's got the long hair and shit, He's always walking around with the fucking guitar around him. Okay, you got the eccentric old lady, who's kind of losing it. She's got all the cats, and she's kind of senile, and then you got the colored people, every ethnicity. You got an Asian person there, you got a black guy there. They don't say anything in the movie, but you see them in the background. Okay, so basically, it's Melrose Place. Okay. Well, you hear the piano music, so that means that Gwen fell in love with the location. She fell in love. Now she was already living with her parents, even though she's in her fucking 30s. Okay. She's living with her parents in their guest house, and she can't handle it anymore. She's lonely. She's horny. She can't find true love. She's frustrated, which in real life is bullshit because any woman that looks like Jean Triplehorn, okay, would have no problem finding a guy, okay? A guy that would fucking want to put a ring on it and fall in love with her and treat her with respect, okay? But she doesn't want a guy like that. What she wants, okay, is a fucking alpha Chad, okay? Now here's the thing. She can easily get an alpha Chad to fuck her. Absolutely. No problem. Even on a regular basis even, okay? But she's not gonna get an alpha Chad to put a ring on it and marry her, okay? That's fucking that's lollipop land. Unfortunately, because this is a rom-com, it takes place in lollipop land, okay? So those are the only guys that are gonna wanna be with her, are the alpha, the guys with the high sexual market value. The Biggs, the Brad Pitts, okay? Those kind of guys, the Elon Musks. Okay, the Harry Styles, okay, the Justin Biebers, those are the guys that she wants, okay? Now those guys will fuck her. That's usually actually what happens. Guys like that, they actually do fuck a lot of average women or average looking women or above average looking women. They fuck a lot of them. And because they do that, these average looking women think that they're 10s now because they got a 10 to fuck them. And then they find out once they start losing their looks and shit, oh, you never really were a 10. You were just a Tuesday for him, okay? Sorry. Hey, straight man's point of view. Straight man's point of view. I'm sorry, ladies, it's true. You know it's true. Those of you with some experience out there, you know it's true. You know I'm telling you the truth, okay? I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or nothing, okay? But it's the truth, okay? I'm going to point out the truth. That's what I do here. I give you a straight man's point of view, okay? I take a plate I love this rom-com, but goddamn it, I'm going to call out the bullshit on it. Again, this is the same shit I say about all rom-coms, okay? They give you a bullshit idea. You walk out of the theater thinking this shit's going to fucking happen to you. It's not going to fucking happen to you. Yeah. A girl like her could easily get a Chad, an alpha Chad to fuck her. Absolutely, no problem there. Happens every day. Okay, but the problem is you're not going to get a guy like that to take you seriously. Okay, because they're going to want a higher value woman. Okay, exactly. Who's hot right now? Yeah. Think of a young Salma Hayek. She's up there. I mean, look at her. She's landed a fucking billionaire. You think fucking she married him for his looks? Look at him, dude. The fucking guy looks like Mr. fucking Magoo. Okay, but he's French and he's a billionaire. And he's a good fucking 25 years older than her. Okay, so of course she's gonna marry him. Okay, he's a fucking billionaire. He's got a lot of pull. She only acted in movies now because for her vanity. So guys will like her again. Okay, because she aged out. I mean, look at that fucking Magic Mike movie, dude. It fucking bombed. And I remember when Magic Mike was a fucking just shit. Anyway, we're not talking about Magic Mike. We're talking about this one, right? Okay. So moving right along. I know I got sidetracked. So she goes in there to La Fortuna and she falls in love with the place. You get the fucking piano music. So now you know that she's going to end up moving in there. All right? Because she was looking for a new place. Her parents are getting divorced. She cannot live with her mom and dad anymore. Even though she's in her fucking 30s and she shouldn't have been doing it anyway. So she's going to move into this La Fortuna place. All right. The next scene we see here is Gwen goes to visit Debbie. Now, Debbie here is her childhood friend. We saw them as kids earlier in the movie when they were both going to private school together, wearing the private school uniforms, talking about finding true love when they become grown-ups. Okay, well, Debbie here is played by Jennifer Aniston. Now, she was in between seasons of Friends. Friends was a very popular show at the time. So what all the actors do, they don't unless the show is like super fucking good, they don't know for sure whether or not it's going to get renewed for another season. So what a lot of these actors did is during the downtime, in between shooting seasons, they would have like a good 3 or 4 months off before they had to be back on the set and shoot the next season. So during this time, they would do movies. Okay, and because they're on a popular sitcom, there's a lot of casting agents that want to cast them. Okay, because they're on they've already got a high profile. They're on a sitcom that every white fucking 20-something girl was watching this back then. Okay, in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were watching Friends. That's where you got the fucking Jennifer Aniston hairstyle. That's where you got the clothes from. All that shit, dude. Every fucking white 20-something-year-old woman in America was watching Friends in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Okay, and Jennifer Aniston was a big part of that. Okay, to me personally, I watched Friends. I never watched every episode, but I watched Friends, and yeah, for the most part, I mean, it was a show about fucking Rachel. Rachel and Monica. They were the two main characters as far as I'm concerned. Okay, the show was all about them and their struggles and their problems, their dating life, and who they're fucking, you know, and all that kind of shit. Okay, because let's face it, Phoebe was a fucking idiot. Joey was a fucking idiot. Good-looking idiot, but an idiot nonetheless. Okay, Chandler was just a sarcastic guy that every fucking writer fucking based their characters on Chandler. You ever read a comic book in the early 2000s? They wrote them all like Chandler. And you're saying this because, you know? And then you got fucking David Schwimmer, who's basically a fucking a beta male, nerdy, nasally voiced fucking Jewish guy, beta male who fucking gets laid a lot. Go fucking figure. I never bought that anyway. But anyway, these guys all became popular because the show was so popular. So Jennifer Aniston was on the show, and actually I think she was actually the main character of the show, honestly. Okay, so yeah, so she's doing movies in between her gigs. Okay, because you know you never know, the show gets canceled. What's she gonna do? Well, she's got a movies on her resume, despite the fact that Jennifer Aniston was born in the Hollywood industry because her dad is a fucking famous director. Yeah, so she was doing movies, and maybe she could become a leading lady, and she actually did. She actually did star in some fucking chick flicks while Friends was on and after Friends came off the air. Okay, yeah, she did, and she also did a bunch of ensemble casts as well, too. You know, so Jennifer Aniston is part of the whole chick flick fucking thing. That's like her area. That's why you're never gonna see Jennifer Aniston in a fucking a horror movie, not since Leprechaun 4, and you're not gonna see her in a fucking in a sci-fi action adventure big budget fucking superhero movie because she don't do that shit. She does fucking rom-coms, but now she's fucking too old. Although there's that movie she did a few years ago where she was 40-something years old and she did a striptease and she fucking looked good. God damn it, she looked good. Brad Pitt, what the fuck were you thinking? Leaving her for fucking Angelina fucking somebody feed me a cheeseburger Jolie. Okay, anyway, moving right along. I mean, the bitch fucking carried blood in her fucking neck, man. Oh, anyway, moving right along. So yeah, she's in here. She plays Debbie. That's Gwen's best friend. Okay, and she goes to Gwen's house to visit her. Now, Gwen married her fucking nerdy boyfriend from college named Kevin. Okay, and he's there. He's in the car jamming to some fucking heavy metal music. I don't know what the fuck he's listening to in there. It's some sort of rock music with the doors closed and the windows rolled up. He's just sitting there jamming. Why is he doing that? I don't fucking know. But anyway, Gwen points it out to him, and she's just like, "Oh well, he's just in the car because he likes to be in the car." Okay, you know, he likes. I guess he listens to the music. The music sounds better in the car. That kind of shit. Anyway, so they go inside the house. Okay, and Gwen tells her that she's upset that her mom, Dee Dee is her mom's name, is doing video dating now. Oh shit, you think that's bad? Wait till fucking Tinder comes along and OkCupid. Wait till that shit comes along. That's a hell of a lot worse. Okay, yeah, they haven't been catfish yet. Anyway, so her mom's doing video. My mom's doing video dating. You know, and that upsets her. Okay. And Gwen, I mean, Debbie, of course, says, well, you know, you could try some video dating yourself. You're over here fucking playing with your vibrator every night, you know. And Gwen says that her plan right now in life is she's going to finish writing Francesca's autobiography, Taffy's autobiography. And after she's done with that, she's going to move to New York because let's face, that's where I belong. That's where all the publishing takes place. It takes place in New York. Okay, and of course, for some dumb reason, Debbie is not happy with Gwen talking about herself, even though she asked her about herself. And then, of course, Debbie cuts her finger, and she's like, "I'm a surgeon. I'm not supposed to be cutting myself. I'm supposed to be cutting other people." All kind of shit like that, you know. I guess even though Gwen came over to tell Debbie her problems, okay, I don't think Debbie really gives a shit about Gwen's problems. I think Debbie wanted to talk about her own problems, but Gwen can't see that. That's what I think. Anyway, the next scene here is Kevin and Bob. Maybe it's not. Maybe his name was not Kevin. Debbie's husband. What the fuck was his name? Steve. Sorry, I called him Kevin. It wasn't. Kevin's the gay guy. Okay. Jennifer Aniston's husband in this movie is called Steve. Steve. He's the one in the car jamming. Okay, with the doors closed and the windows up. Okay. Next scene we have is Kevin, the gay guy. That was screwing Gwen's professor, and she was screwing him too. Okay, yeah, that could have been a three-way right there. Yeah, he's helping her move into La Fortuna, and Bob is there too. Now, Bob is this alpha beta male, okay, who works for Francesca. I don't know if he's her agent or her manager or if he's a publisher or what, but he's the one that hired Gwen to write Francesca's autobiography. He hired her to do that. okay, and she still hasn't fucking written one page. Okay, she's been procrastinating like a motherfucker. Okay, he hired her, and he also cries in front of her, because he used to date Francesca and she dumped him for another guy. Well, he never really dated her. She just fucked him because she felt sorry for him, probably just to get him to be her agent, And he developed feelings for her. He caught feelings for her. Okay, even though he knew that she's a fucking in and out of rehab, drug addicted fucking whore. Okay, Lindsay Lohan, he still fucking fell in love with her, and now he's crying about her all the fucking time. He says he's moved on. He has not moved on. He's still crying about fucking Francesca, how she broke his heart, and he can't move forward. The only way he can move forward is to start dating Gwen. And unfortunately for Gwen, apparently in this movie, a girl that looks as pretty as Gwen can't find a guy to hit on her. Only a guy like Bob here. Okay, this fucking beta male crybaby is the only type of guy that Gwen can get. All right. So that's going on here. They're helping her move into La Fortuna, okay? And there we meet the old lady that we saw earlier, the one that had all the cats, okay? Her name's Harriet. Now, she looks like she's in her 80s or something, okay? And she brings this stray cat with her. It's not her cat, but she brings the cat, follows her in there, and the cat decides to stay inside Gwen's apartment. Gwen does not want the cat because we all know what happens when you have cats. When you're a lady and you have a bunch of cats, okay? You end up alone. You die alone, and the cats are feeding off of your dead body. That's what happens, okay? But we can't go there, right? It's a rom-com. So she's afraid that's going to happen to her. She's going to die alone with her cats, okay? Like this old lady is, okay? So, so Stray Cat comes in there. Okay, Gwen is now pressured by everyone. Oh, whose cat is that? Blah, blah. Is that your cat? And they're like, no, and that kind of thing. Okay, so she's pressured to keep the cat because it's a stray, but she doesn't want to end up as a cat lady. Okay, and then the old lady notices the old antique piano. Now we've seen this piano before. Okay, actually, when Gwen was a little girl, her parents gave her the backstory about the piano. Okay, it was created in Lithuania by this guy named Faustus Dekantis. Okay, in Lithuania, and he fell in love with Gwen's grandmother, Lena. Okay, they were Jewish, he was not, so therefore the family would not allow them to get married. And then Hitler invaded Lithuania, so this guy Faustus, he bribed a customs official to have Lena and her family and the piano smuggled to America, and he promised Lena that he would meet her in New York. That never happened. We don't know if he died during the Holocaust or what, even though he wasn't Jewish. I don't know. Who the fuck knows, right? But anyway, she never saw him again. Lena never saw him again, but she kept the piano. That's all she had to remind her of him. And because of that, she never played the piano again. But it got handed down from her to her daughter to their daughter. So that's how Gwen came to own this piano. Now, also in the movie, when Nick, the male protagonist, when he was a little boy, his dad was a musician, out-of-work musician, a drunk. He wanted a piano, but his wife, Nick's mom, refused to buy him a piano because they couldn't afford it. Okay, and so now, even though he's an adult now and he lives in a loft, when Francesca is there criticizing his living standards, because he hasn't unpacked anything, even though he's been living in this loft for 2 years, he says, this place could use a piano. I'd always want a piano. And then she tells him, no, if I were to buy you a piano, you wouldn't even like it, because all you care about is the idea of a piano, not a piano in fact. Okay, so the piano thing keeps coming back and forth here. Okay. The old lady, Harriet, notices the piano, okay, and of course Gwen tells her the backstory about it, like I just told you, okay, and then Harriet makes some sort of she makes a remark about how she used to work in showbiz, that she started off as a piano player, and that she used to date a guy, okay, who ate like a Jew. Now, why the fuck would she make a racist statement like that? I have no idea. I have no idea what that was supposed to mean. Okay, anyway, Gwen even gets offended by that. I go, what is that supposed to mean? What do you mean eats like a Jew? That's not even a thing. That's not even a saying, So even she gets offended. Like, well, it's Hollywood. There's a lot of Jewish people live in Hollywood. You can't be saying shit like that over there. Okay, so Harriet asks Harriet asks Gwen why she's not married. Okay, and it's pretty obvious here that Harriet is kind of senile here, and Gwen says that marriage is not the answer. Okay, people are frightened of getting married. Okay, I was too young. Okay, and then I went from too young to why aren't you married yet? Like, how did that happen? There was those 10 minutes back in 1992 when I was the right age and the perfect weight, okay, to get married. But when she did the Ben Stiller show in 1992, she looked really good on that show. Look up those old episodes. It's on DVD. I got every episode here. Okay, look up those old episodes of the Ben Stiller show. Okay, and she was just a background character, but she looked like a fucking model. She looked really better than she does now. I'm sorry, in this movie. Okay, she's like, back in 1992, the 10 minutes, I was the perfect age, I was the perfect weight. But I don't know. I guess I must have just forgot to set the alarm and I slept right through it. You know? Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Okay? She didn't try. She didn't try. Okay? She sat there passively while guys worked up the courage to ask her out. And unfortunately, the only guys that asked her out, okay, were beta males. Okay, that's what she dated. Okay, the guys would fall in love with her, but she wasn't attracted to them because they were wishy-washy and wimpy. Okay, and weren't masculine at all. Okay, she would have to make all the decisions. She would have to lead that relationship, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted to find a guy that could lead her in a relationship, a guy that she was physically, emotionally, intellectually attracted to. Well, those guys came around too, but they just used her for sex, and they didn't want her for anything else. And that made her feel bad and cheap. Okay, so she didn't want that either after a while, after riding the cock carousel for a while. Okay, so now what she wants is Mr. Perfect, and that's why she's single, because she can't find Mr. Perfect. Good luck, bitch. Good luck finding Mr. Perfect. Okay, the only thing guys that have been hitting on her in this whole fucking movie is fucking Bob sitting there on the fucking couch, Mr. Beta Male himself. Mr. I'm gonna cry. She broke my heart. Will you go out with me? Yeah, that guy, that fucking asshole. Yeah, that's the only guy that's asked her out in this fucking movie. Anyway, so that's what she says. Because it's not that important and because she ain't the perfect weight and the perfect age anymore. That's why she's not married, okay? And Harry says, like, I never got married either. But it was because no one ever asked me. And then Gwen's like, well, yeah, that's the other reason. Well, no shit, nobody asked you. I'm sorry, Gwen's a beautiful woman. Okay, all she has to do is learn how to flirt, and some guys are gonna pick up her vibe. She got to fucking jump them and sexually assault them like her mom did to her dad. No, just start talking to guys. I mean, if they're gonna, if you're not gonna make the first move, then, if they're not gonna make the first move, then you need to. What the fuck, equality, right? Holy shit, you might get rejected. This person you're attracted to might not be attracted to you, and that might hurt your feelings. Ah! Yeah, welcome to our world, bitch. Welcome to our world, okay? Anyway, moving right along. So Harriet tells Gwen of how she fell in love with some man. She just goes into this story about some man named Irving that she fell in love with when she was a young lady, okay? His name was Irving. She says back when she was young. And I'm thinking, Irving, and this is Hollywood. I mean, this scene takes place in Hollywood. They live in LA. This is Hollywood. And I'm thinking like, well, okay, what Irving is this? Could it be Irving Thalberg? Because Irving Thalberg was a real person, okay? He was the number 2 person at MGM, okay? He actually started off working for Universal Studios under Carl Laemmle. He was basically a secretary there, and then he quit and went off on his own. This is back in the silent era. Okay, he was responsible for The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Lon Chaney. Okay, he was responsible for that, and then he went over and became a partner with Louis B. Mayer. They formed their own production company, and then a year after that, they got bought out by Sam Goldwyn. Okay, and they merged, and they became MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Okay, and the head of MGM appointed Irving Thalberg as the number 2. Okay, so basically, and of course, Sam Goldwyn was the number 1. So basically, they sent them to LA to start up a studio there. Okay, so Louis B. Mayer, he was in charge with the financing. He was in charge with building everything, getting all the rights, setting up all the contracts, approving the budgets, all that kind of stuff, making sure the sets got constructed, making sure everybody got paid, all the insurance, all that kind of stuff, okay, acquiring the rights to books, that kind of shit. He was in charge of all that. He was the number 1 guy, and especially the budgets, okay, the purse strings. Meanwhile, Irving Thalberg was involved with the creative side. He was responsible for approving the scripts, approving the directors, approving the actors, all that kind of shit. That was his responsibility. So he was more creative, whereas Louis B. Mayer was more the business sense of it, okay, the money, the numbers, and Irving Thalberg was more the creative side of it, okay. So basically, for a movie to get made, you had to win over Irving Thalberg, okay. Now, don't get me wrong, Louis B. Mayer did resent Irving Thalberg because he was younger than him, number 1. He was better looking than him, number 2, and also the actors, the directors liked him. They didn't like Sam Goldwyn. They didn't like Louis B. Mayer. They didn't like him. He was tough and gruff. and overweight and smoking cigars. He was rude to everybody and shit, you know. And apparently, and he liked to fuck the actresses. Okay, he liked to fucking sexually harass his own staff. Okay, because he knew nobody would do anything about it. All right. Whereas Irving Thalberg was polite to everybody. He was nice to everybody. He treated everybody with respect. He didn't give a shit about what color you were or what sexuality you were or that kind of stuff. They called him the Boy Wonder. He approved a lot of the successes that MGM had. Okay, we're under his watchful eye. Okay, he was the one that approved it all. He made sure all the right, they got the best writers, they got the best directors, okay, the best actors. He was responsible for all that shit. Irving Thalberg, he was a very big man in Hollywood. Okay, like I said, they called him the Boy Wonder, and he became the head of creative when he was only 25 years old. He was a fucking kid, you know, but he was that fucking popular. Okay, so he's the first one that introduced writers' conferences. Okay, when it came to writing scripts. Okay, he's the one that invented the reshoots that we still use today. Okay, and the production code of morality. He did all that shit. Okay, before the other codes came into effect, before the Hays Code came into effect, he already had a code for morality in the movies. Okay, and he was married to a famous actor. He was married to Norma Shearer. Okay, Norma Shearer was a starlet. She was an actress. Okay, but once she married him, she became a movie star. Go figure. I wonder how that fucking happened. Okay, and from all accounts, Irving Thalberg was very much in love with her, from what I read about him, and very faithful to her, even though he had pussy thrown at him every fucking day, several times a day, by a lot of hopeful starlets, a lot of actresses, a lot of people that wanted their break. He had a shitload of pussy thrown at him. Actually, when he was at Universal Studios, Carl Laemmle approved of him fucking his daughter, because he was. He was like, okay, he's gonna marry my daughter, and then he's gonna become part of the family. Well, he didn't. He actually dumped Carl Laemmle's daughter at Universal and went to go find an MGM, where he started fucking the stars there until he met Norma Shearer. And then when he married her, he stayed faithful to her. Now Norma Shearer was a big fucking slut before she fucked a lot of guys in Hollywood. But apparently, while she was married to Irving Thalberg, she was faithful too. She didn't fuck around at all. After he died, though, she did fuck around. She fucked a lot of people. She even fucked an underage Mickey Rooney. Okay? Yeah. She was fucking a lot of people, okay, after Irving died. And it's really sad because she died in an old folks home of dementia. And right before she died, she kept asking everybody, where's Irving? Where's Irving? Where's Irving? Yeah, and that was like in the 70s, okay? And Irving had died in the 30s. Okay, so yeah. He actually died very young, he died at 37 years old. He was 37 years old when he died. Who the fuck dies at 37? Apparently he got sick, he had some sort of pneumonia and died. But he was a big deal in Hollywood. They called him the Boy Wonder. And actually, Louis B. Mayer was happy when Irving Thalberg died, because now there was only a number one person at MGM, and that was him. Okay, they never did replace Irving Thalberg with another head of creative. Okay, so basically everything had to go through Louis B. Mayer from now on. Okay, so of course he abused that power. He was fucking goddamn Judy Garland, even though she was a minor. He was fucking everybody. Okay, every girl that came in that studio, he fucked them, and on a regular basis, because he knew what would happen. They knew what would happen if they didn't. If they refused his advances, they knew what would happen. Okay, you think Harvey Weinstein was bad? Fuck, it was a hell of a lot worse back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. A hell of a lot worse. Okay, and then you had all those actresses that were looking forward to fucking him. Those Joan Crawfords, the ones that went to Hollywood just to fuck him so that they could become full-time working actresses. Okay, so yeah, so it's not like he raped them. Okay, he actually, I'm pretty sure he rejected more than he got. All right, but anyway. Moving right along. Harriet's mom did not approve of Irving because he was Jewish. That's what she tells Gwen. And like I said, the real Irving Thalberg was Jewish. So was Louis B. Mayer. So was Sam Goldwyn. So was pretty much every studio in Hollywood. Okay, in the golden age of Hollywood was founded by Jewish people. Okay, it was a Jewish industry. Okay, with only one exception, RKO. RKO was the only studio back then, okay, that was not owned and operated by Jewish people, okay? It was owned by Howard Hughes, okay? It was not Jewish. He decided to get into the movie business to help him get laid more. Yeah, and to make some movies about flying, which he loved to do, okay? That was the only one. All the other studios, Universal, MGM, Paramount, okay, Columbia, okay? They were all Jewish owned. Warner Brothers, all of them Jewish owned. Jewish owned and run. Okay, so anyway, Harriet tells Gwen that her mother did not approve of Irving because he was Jewish. Okay, again with the Jewish thing, right? Okay, so he married someone else and broke her heart. Okay, but she tells Gwen, but I never stopped loving him. I still love him to this very day. And it's so sweet and sad when you this old lady talking about that. Can you honestly tell me she never got laid again after that? Because I'm thinking like she must have been, what, 18 or 19 back then? And now she looks like, now she's probably, what, 79, 83, something like that. And she never fell in love and got laid again? I find that very hard to believe. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she does have dementia or senility or Alzheimer's and she forgot that she was married to someone for like 30 years or something. Yeah, I find it hard to believe that she never ever stopped. I do believe that she never stopped loving this guy. I don't believe that she never found somebody else. Not gonna happen, especially if she was a Hollywood starlet. Okay, she would have been very attractive. Guys would have been hitting on her. Okay, power players in Hollywood would have been hitting on her. Okay, non-Jewish guys would have been hitting on her. Okay, so no. Anyway, so meanwhile, Nick comes home and finds Francesca moving her shit in. He's all upset about this, okay? And he doesn't like it. He's like, she's like, I was planning on one day buying a piano. She puts her table there. You know, the movers are putting her, and he's like, whoa, you can't put it here? I was gonna buy a piano one day and put it right here, you know? And she's like, you're moving in. She's like, I'm not moving in. And Francis is like, I'm not moving in. I need a surface so I can write a poetry. He's like, you write poetry? Because he loves poetry because he read Gwen's poem that she wrote when she caught her boyfriend fucking, the professor fucking the other guy. She wrote a poem about it, okay? A broken-hearted poem. And because she lost her poem, Nick found it, she had to recite it from memory in class, okay? Well, he loved that poem. So he's like, oh, you write poetry? And she's like, I write all kinds of shit. Now, this is Sarah Jessica Parker, okay? Carrie Bradshaw herself smoking like fucking crazy. Everyone in this movie smokes like fucking crazy, okay? Indoors, okay? Okay, but yeah, so she says, I write all kinds of shit. Yeah, but she won't write her own autobiography. She won't write that. She's got to hire somebody to do that, all right? So Fran says, I wrote a poem about you. He did. So while they're having sex, after they're done having sex, I guess they didn't have sex on the bed. I don't even know if he has a bed. I don't think I saw one in the movie, but they have sex on a blanket on the floor. And after they're done having sex, and they're both smoking cigarettes, because that's what they do, no fire hazard, okay? She reads them a poem that she wrote. It says, I'm going to read you the poem, okay? It says, you work hard at your blueprints, because he's an architect. You work hard at your blueprints, morning till night, and hopefully we'll shack up without a major fight. You like deconstructionism, the new, not the old, and you're great with a blowtorch, or so I've been told. You're good with the clients, and also at sex, which is why you are the greatest of all architects. Yeah, that's the fucking poem that Francesca Linfield wrote. Okay, now, the only reason he's even boning her, the only reason like she's even his girlfriend is because he fell in love with her when he was a little boy. He was a poor little boy living in a drunken household, okay? And the only thing that made him happy was watching that TV show that she was on, okay? And he fell in love with Taffy because she was around the same age as him. Okay, he's grown up. He's a successful architect, and she's basically a has-been in Hollywood. Okay, you know, like a Lindsay Lohan type. Okay, and so he's always had a crush on her. He's always been in love with the fantasy of Taffy, and now he's got Taffy in fact. Okay, so that's why he's with her. He's not really in love with her. He's in love with what she represented. It'd be like me, you know, if I were to ever fall in love, if I were to ever meet Eve Plum and start a relationship with Eve Plum or Jan Brady from the Brady Bunch, I wouldn't be in love with Eve Plum. I'd be in love with Jan Brady. Okay, big difference. Okay. So that's what's going on here. Okay, I'm gonna stop this review right here. I'll be back shortly to continue my review of Till There Was You. I thank you very much for watching as long, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.